Welcome to Crushgasm, the podcast dedicated to the highs and lows of crushes from their first to their worst. We're going to cover them all with a cascade of characters, including our guest today, a swaggy hot dog lover, caffeine addict, and all-around carb queen who is here to talk not only about her crush on one of the most quintessential emo albums, Dashboard Confessionals, the places you have come to fear the most, but also the latest happenings of her band, Summerbruise. Stanley, welcome. How are you?
I'm so good. Thanks for having me on.
I'm excited. This is an album I did not love at first, but my best
Okay.
friend broke me down to love Dashboard Confessional. But before we get into Dashboard, emo music and all that jazz, can you tell people where they can find you online and
Yeah,
Summerbrews?
so they can find Summerbruise at Summerbruise69. That's like the season and the injury, not like the beer.
Mhm.
So at Summerbruise69 on all the social medias. Summerbruise is on Spotify, Apple Music, all that good stuff. And we'd love to connect, be homies, and play shows.
Alrighty. Now, this all started about 20 years ago when your cousin
Yeah.
Jesse gave you a mix CD with Dashboard on it. Was this how you were getting like most of your new music back in like 2006-ish?
I would say so. Like, my cousin is roughly 10 years older than me, and she would make mix CDs for my brother and myself, just introducing us to artists that she liked, artists that we already liked, just huge compilations of stuff. I was very into Green Day at the time. I remember writing, I want the song I Walk Alone on a mix CD, please and thank you. And then just with a big heart on it. And she happened to throw the Best Deceptions by Dashboard Confessional on the same mix CD. And I was like, yo, what is this? And the rest is history.
When you say you wrote it, were you right? Was this an exchange through like US Postal? Like, were you
Well,
mailing things?
no,
Okay.
she lived like one town over, but I wrote it just on like a piece of paper and slid it like under her door. Just
Oh,
yeah.
the old school way of communicating.
Oh yeah.
I thought you were like pinning letters. I was like, oh, maybe this is a cross country type of cousin.
That would be cool too though.
So
I
which
highly encourage being pen pals with people.
I during COVID, I would write a monthly note to all my friends, just
That's
like,
so sweet.
keeping in touch. As my grandma on my mom's side was a postal worker. My father was a postal worker, so I'm very big on mail.
I
So
feel that.
I've,
During 2020's Christmas season, I worked as a seasonal worker for the Postal Service, and I loved it.
mm,
It
that's a
was very
dream
fun.
job for me. Like if I
Yeah.
can work at a post office, I think I used to play it all the time when I was little. I just love it so much. So was Jesse like the cool older cousin?
Oh yeah, she was the cool older cousin. She was my first experience seeing a queer person, and as like someone who later, like I'm a queer trans woman, so seeing that having representation of a community I didn't even know that I was going to be a part of, I was like, this is cool. This is different. She's not afraid to be herself in like a rural community, and I just took that inspiration and let my freak flag fly.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad you had a cousin like that. It's always good to have at least somebody, one person in the family who like gets you
Exactly,
when
and
the
she was
rest of them
definitely that
are
person for me.
insane. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I know. That's my probably my little brother for me. I'm just like, oh, we always talk about the rest of the family. We're
Yep.
just like, ugh, I roll. So this CD had a lot of so it was a true mix CD. It wasn't just like one album. It was just a amalgamation of things she thought was
Yeah.
cool.
So like Green Day, Dashboard Confessional, that one Gavin DeGraw song, I Don't Wanna Be.
Okay.
That was big for me as a kid. It also had some like, let's see, I want to say some older music too. So like it got me into like Nirvana, Stone Temple Pilots, Alice in Chains, just a little stuff around that. But I really honed in on that Dashboard Confessional song. I was so stoked on it.
And at first I thought, wow, you were 9, 10 years old listening to this really emotionally heavy music. But then I remembered I was absolutely living for like Backstreet Boys at that age. And however, like, while my boy band tendencies left me like a little more romantic, I think for me, did you listen to Dashboard at that age and like did it make you lean towards heartache instead of romance? Were you like that kid that was like, oh my God, the tragedies of Shakespeare love?
Exactly. My mom will tell everyone that I was a drama queen when I was a kid. I loved just, I don't know, definitely like the tragedies of Shakespeare rather than focusing on the comedies. I was always like hopeless romantic, having crushes as a kid, and I was like
Mhm.
just this bleeding heart child.
And probably too coming from like that like queer and not having that representation, especially back in even 2006, and having a crush at that time was probably a little difficult too.
Yeah, it was interesting to say the
Mhm.
least, because like I don't know, I'm a lesbian, and it was definitely just, I always knew that something wasn't quite like heteronormative about the way that I had crushes.
That's so interesting. I could dive into crushes of all like walks of life for hours, but I will stick to Dashboard Confessional right now. Because I do believe that around 9, 10, 11 years old, this is the time we start to develop kind of our own personalities. There's still a bit of like hive mind mentality, but for the most part, it's like the first time in our lives we're starting to feel like an individual. That being said, we also tend to go really deep into these newfound personalities. With that, did you like transform into a preteen emo kid overnight after that mix CD, or were you like easing into it?
It was overnight. I was it was over for me. I just was very
So,
excited about finding this community and being able to be as loud and outspoken as I wanted. I was like, all right, I need to learn everything about this band. I need to learn everything about all the other bands around. And so I started listening to a lot of Fall Out Boy, a lot of My Chem, a lot of like when Paramore was coming up in the scene. Uh, all of those bands just really hit for me.
2006 was a great year for that scene as well. That
Oh
was
yeah.
my freshman 2006 was my freshman year of college summer, and I just spent it in my mom's den with AOL dial-up internet.
I,
Yeah, and
I
Fall Out
do
Boy
not miss
message
dial up.
boards on the fog message boards, just like yay. I actually have a
Oh yeah.
tattoo from a girl I met on a Fall Out Boy message board. She drew a little robot for me, and I got it.
That's so sick. I love that.
She was like my best friend that summer, and I've not like I think I just I'm her Facebook friend now, but we never like talked. It was just a connection back then. But 2006 was also the year that Disney Channel entered a very lucrative chapter with the premiere of both High School Musical and Hannah Montana. Were you a fan of either of those shows, given that they were like music centric?
I was very into Hannah Montana. I thought it was so cool. I was big on like the soundtracks of it. I don't know.
Hmm.
I didn't get into High School Musical until maybe like my actual high school experience, because everyone wanted to do High School Musical as the spring musical in
Oh,
like my senior year. I think they did that, but I was very much a Hannah Montana kid. I loved it.
I am hoping she doesn't need to do it, but if she ever announced like a Hannah Montana tour,
Oh,
mm,
I would be waiting for
yes.
pre-sale like
Oh,
codes.
oh my God, that'd be amazing. Who said? Who said? Oh, I love
Oh,
it. Oh, good. 2006 was also the year. Was also far enough back that I still felt like kids around 9, 10 years old could really enjoy like fandoms, like the joy of it without being it so social media based. Did you wind up going down like this dashboard confessional rabbit hole because of this album? Like, did
yeah. So after I found out about Dashboard Confessional, I started learning everything I could, like going to Wikipedia and reading all the articles about the band, the records, everything, and discovering that their song Vindicated was in Spider-Man 2. I was like, yo, I need to make this my whole personality. And so Spider-Man is still my favorite superhero because of Vindicated in that second movie.
I was so mad in the latest Spider-Man when the old ones came out and they did not use the freaking songs from the. I wanted Vindicated and I won that Chad Kroger one. I was like,
Oh yeah,
guys, and that's the only thing Tom Holland does not have is a song. Like the other
yeah,
Spider-Man's got cool songs. Well, Tobey Maguire I think got two. But yeah,
yeah.
that's what they need. Bring back the song.
Yeah, they had a perfect opportunity to just whip it out, even for a split second, and they didn't.
I mean, missed opportunities, missed opportunities. Oh, and was cool cousin Jesse and your parents like, were you allowed to go to shows at 9, 10 years old? Were there, you said a rural area, so I don't know if you were close to shows either.
Yeah, not really close to any shows because I live like an hour from Indianapolis and an hour from Cincinnati, Ohio. So I just transport there and back was impossible. I went to my first show when I was like 14. So I had a lot of like pent up energy for going to shows. And so once the floodgates opened, I was like, yes, I'm going to every show I possibly can from now until the day I die. And now I'm in a band and I get to tour the country and do exactly that.
What was your first show you got to go to?
The first show that I went to was a metal festival called Mayhem Fest in 2012. Yeah,
Mm.
so I was like 14, maybe 15. I don't remember. But the first band I ever saw on a stage was Whitechapel, which is wild considering I was listening to like this emo stuff. And then to see such a heavy band, I was like,
Mhm.
oh, there's also this scene, and I can just kind of enjoy everything that I can, soaking it all up. It was so much fun for me.
I feel like it's when you would go to Warped Tour back in the day, and they'd have that one CD, which is like Monster Rockstar, that was like the and you're like, I just need to go to Hello Goodbye, please just get me
Exactly.
away. I just like I'm gonna run. Census fails on. I gotta run.
Yeah.
Because I'd be like, I gotta go to the Academy is.
Oh my gosh. I love the Academias as well. So
So
good.
fun. I know they were on the something like the Jack's Mannequin something corporate cruisy thing they did. My friend was seeing
Hmm.
him and I was like, oh, nice, nice. And like, when was the first? Have you gotten to see Dashboard live?
I've seen Dashboard Live like 4 or 5 times now.
Mhm.
The first time I saw them was the day I graduated high school. They were playing in Indianapolis that night. So I finished the graduation ceremony, did all of that fun stuff, took off my cap, took off my gown, and my mom, brother, and I drove up to Indianapolis and got to watch my favorite band. And it was I wish I could describe the euphoric feeling that I felt that day. It was like a lifetime of wanting to see it happen just come true. I felt like a Disney princess that day.
Oh, well, also it was such a big, you were closing a chapter on kind of childhood and then, but seeing
Hmm.
something so precious from your childhood, it's those beautiful moments. Beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful. And for the album, you noted The Good Fight is your favorite track on this record. And this kind of ties back into leaning into that tragedy part of life. Um, but do you think that the best art does come from heartbreak and sadness?
I feel like a lot of great art does come from the heartbreak and sadness, but also the like heartbreak and sadness isn't the only thing that makes good art. Like
Hmm.
you can listen to a song like Accidentally in Love by the Counting Crows on the Shrek 2
Hmm.
soundtrack. That is a song about just being happy, being in love with someone. And that's one of the best songs ever written as well. So I feel like I don't know, the scales definitely tilt in whatever direction.
We started this with the mention of Minions. We got to Shrek 2. I'm loving it. I'm a big, if after coming of age, animation's my second favorite genre of film.
Oh yeah.
So I did talk to Andrew of a band called Felicity about A Day to Remember's Homesick album, and I told him, and I'm gonna tell you, when you love something, you have to admit that it has faults. So, what makes Standard Lines a song for you that is like a skip every now and then?
Standard Lines it's fun, but it is just not like it's not as energetic as the energetic songs. It's not as sad as the sad songs. It's I feel like it's the closest that record has to filler.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I just feel like there's so many peaks on the record that there has to be a valley eventually, and Standard Lines is the valley for me.
Okay. And when it comes to favorite lines from this album, yours comes from Brilliant Dance and is, and breathing is a foreign task and thinking's just too much to ask, and you're measuring your minute by a clock that's blinking eights. That's a long line. Did falling for music as poetic as this make you kind of an English class lover growing up?
Oh, absolutely. My favorite class in high school was a creative writing course that I took my senior year, and I wrote what ended up being like lyrics to one of my favorite solo project songs in that class, just as an assignment. And then I'm still playing that song to this day, like when that band plays shows. It definitely brought out the like wanting to create imagery in a song, because the blinking eights, like an alarm clock that's just like power cycling, and it makes you feel pain. I would say it's like, oh, what happened to where like these bad things are happening, but it's just, I don't know, it paints such a pretty picture for me, and I wish every day that I wrote that lyric.
Oh, there's so many songs where you're like, that is, oh, you're like, that's good. That's a good one. That's
Yeah,
I like to find like the good pop songs because I think it's the hardest genre to write is like that universal pop that everyone's gonna know it. And I'm like, when I come across a good pop song, I'm like, that tastes good. Mm.
yeah,
But going back to this
exactly.
being like English class being your favorite, I find that a lot of people that grew up with this type of music did lean into being more creative, going into creative fields. If not that, they're just like, I don't know, like their jobs have like are around music and stuff. Why do you think this genre of music was that impactful
I feel like
for
it's
future
very,
careers?
yeah, very hard on your sleeve, and very like presenting everything like authentically, no masking anything. And it leads people to want to be able to express themselves in a similar nature, to where they can have their heart on their sleeve, or they're like expressing every emotion as it comes, not trying to bottle anything up to where they feel under like misunderstood or anything like that. If that makes any sense. I could just be rambling, but I feel like the honesty of it creates honest people, and that is very beautiful to me.
And when it comes to this album as a whole, it does sit atop many best emo album lists and is a favorite among many who grew up with it in that scene. For you, what makes this what has turned it from like a classic emo album just into like a classic album in general?
I think that it really expresses human emotion well, because you've got songs like The Brilliant Dance, which is a great album opener, where it just feels like a breakup is happening. And then you've got songs like Screaming Infidelities, the next track on the record, that can have you feel like, oh, this person was cheated on or what have you, and they're turning their pain into art. And you just, even though it hasn't happened to you directly, you are able to connect with it, and you're able to understand what the artist Chris Caraba was going through. And I find that really, really cool, because I don't know, I relate to a lot of music, or like put myself in the shoes of the person who's writing lyrics or something in a song, and I feel like the record just speaks to me. It has since I was a wee little kid, and it does when I'm 28 years old now, and it will when I'm 50 years old.
Isn't that wild that some albums you're gonna just play until it like the end, like your deathbed, and you're like, yeah,
Exactly.
this still I still love it. This is still the best shit. Like you're still gonna defend it.
Yeah, it's so good. I'm an emo kid until the day I die. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I went to that when we were young last year. Sorry,
Oh,
I
hell yeah.
I was sitting during, or where was I during dashboard? I might have been getting a pupusa one day and
Okay.
then somewhere else the next day, but I was somewhere, but it's very hot. Very, very hot. A lot of too many people. I think they oversell it. Must
Ah,
say. But I wanted to go because it was like the album ones last year. So I
Hmm.
had to go. I was like, the used, yes, yes, yes. And I wanted to see the rejects, but they pulled out. And I was very sad about that.
Yeah, unfortunate.
But now they're doing those cool house shows.
Yeah, my friend Billy Perkins just opened for them in Chicago when they played at My Place, Ohio.
Ooh, fun, fun, fun. Shout out, shout out. And before we move on and talk more about Summer Brews, what song from the places you have come to for the most would you want Summer Brews to redo in y'all style?
Ooh, that's tough. Um, if I were to pick a song, it would either be The Good Fight or it would be the title track, The Places You Have Come to Fear the Most, just because that's an acoustic song and I feel like we could really breathe some air into it, breathe new life with our, I don't know, the like the whole emo stylings, the modern emo stylings that we have.
Well, so you wouldn't want to do standard lines, maybe make that less filler.
Yeah, no, that song can sit there.
Just not even touching it for a cover. All right. So let's talk more about you and Summer Brews. What drove you towards the drums? Was it like a specific artist, an album, maybe a song? Just thought they were cool.
Let's see. I thought drums were always the coolest thing. One day when I was playing hooky from school, I watched the movie Drumline, starring Nick Cannon, and I was like, "Oh, I kind of want to do marching band." So I started doing that in high school, and then I eventually got to a real drum set when I was like 16, and I was like, "All right, I'm going to make this my entire life because nothing feels better than just hitting the drums." And now like I said earlier, get to do that across the country, and I get to see my friends because I like to make a loud noise.
Were your parents like, okay?
My
Okay.
mom has been nothing but supportive of me wanting to make noise since I was a kid. She helped buy my first drum kit, and I I don't know, I'm forever in her debt because of that.
Well, it's paying off. You're on tour. Summer Bruce actually all got started about a decade ago. But was this your first time in a band, or had you like done
Um,
drumming elsewhere? You mentioned solo work as well, so.
yeah, I have been in bands since like 2014, roughly. I've been touring since 2014. I joined Summer Brews in 2019. I've been playing either guitar or drums in bands since then. Uh, I have a solo project where I record all of the instruments myself and then have a live band. But there's just something about being able to play the drums and being in Summer Brews that it just it hits different, you know? I love it.
And you just said a quick turnaround though. You just got home from tour. You're turning
Uh-huh.
things around quick because you got more dates in June coming up with Kerosene Heights and Tiny Voices. Are you hitting any new venues this time around that are like kind of bucket list for you?
Let me Google the flyer actually so I can remember where exactly we're playing. My brain has not caught up to we're going on another tour in June quite yet. Just still
As of today,
breaking
we only
down.
have a few days left of May.
Yeah, that's terrifying to me. So let's see. I'm really excited to go back to Papa Pete's in Kalamazoo, Michigan, because they made a Greek pizza that you dip in like a tzatziki sauce that I
Ooh.
still think about. And I had that pizza like 3 years ago.
Mm.
It's really good. And we're also playing the Pie Shop in Washington, D.C., which is like, I don't know, just a legendary venue. I'm pretty excited for that.
Mm. Well, have you done California? You guys
Yeah,
been out
I've,
west?
yeah, we
Chain
just
Reaction?
Yes, Chain Reaction
Okay.
in Anaheim is super
Hmm.
fun. Getting to see all of the t-shirts of the bands
Yes.
on the like just lining the walls. I'm like, "Oh, there's the Chariot. Oh, there's Man Overboard. Oh, there's this band XYZ." Like seeing so many bands that I think are cool and like looked up to, being able to have their stuff on the wall there and then being able to share a stage with cool bands as well. We were just out there with Trash, Doan, and Dear Marianne on a full US. and it was super fun. I had the time of my life.
I grew up in SoCal, so those venues always open my heart. I'm in Ohio now, so I'm getting to know the Columbus venues a little bit. But
Okay.
yeah.
Have you been to Dirty Dungarees yet? The laundromat?
No.
Oh, it's crazy there. We played there with Saturdays at Your Place a couple of years ago, like when we first met each other, and that it fills up real quick. People are actively doing their laundry while the show is going on. It's crazy.
Sounds like in New York where they're like, we have comedy shows in this like laundromat, but you have to go through this washer to get through the back door. And you're like,
Yeah, exactly.
What? This sounds like an episode of Broad City. Oh my God. So crazy.
Oh, I love Broad City.
I know. I miss it so much. When they did the Super Bowl commercial, I think they had one together and I was like, oh, they're still friends.
Yeah, that makes me happy.
So much touring going on as of late. Are you guys thinking about a follow-up to Better Vacation time soon? Are you guys focused on touring?
Yeah, so we wrote a new batch of songs and recorded it. When is this podcast going to come out? Because that determines how much I would like to say.
Next week.
Oh, the beginning of June. Perfect. We are about to drop a new single. That'll be fun. And then maybe we have some more stuff in store for the rest of the year.
I love it. Staying busy, staying booked, staying
staying very busy is the best way I can describe it.
And then before we go really quick, I'd love to play this quick game I came up with. Are you familiar with the discourse online that says some pop punk bands are emo, and emo bands are Vans, while others are Converse bands? So there's like a difference between the shoes.
Okay.
So yes, this is a thing online. This would have been a big hit on Tumblr in 2009. Okay, but so I'm gonna say a band, and you tell me whether you think they're a Vans band or a Converse band. Blink-182.
Vans all day.
Newfound Glory.
Also Vans.
Dashboard Confessional.
They're Converse.
Sum 41.
Also Vans.
Something. Did I say something corporate?
Let's see. I think they would be a Converse band for sure.
And lastly, Summerbruise.
Summerbruise, that's tough because I wear Vans currently. I wear a pair of yellow old schools, but I really want a pair of yellow Converse All-Stars, like the high tops. So I don't know. That's tough. Right now, I would just have to give it Vans because I currently own the Vans.
You're like, I don't know, Crocs, Etnies. That could be
Etnies. Oh my God.
That was my shoe in high school. You could a baby blue E. A baby blue E.
Oh yeah.
Could tell me nothing. But then I got Converse because I have really big feet. So like I was like, oh, I don't want to have like the big feet. But then there was this lesbian on MTV's Next, who had huge feet and she wore Converse, and I was like, they look fine. They look fine on me. And thank you to that lesbian on MTV's Next, one of my fashion icons.
We love the lesbian on MTV's Next.
That big-footed lesbian on MTV's Next. Oh, love her. I was in San Francisco, and our waiter was on Next. He was one of the guys. It was a gay guy episode. And I was just like, were you on Next? And he was just embarrassed about it. But I was like, no, I love the episode. Like, it was so good. And he was like, awesome. Yes. Oh, I could spot a person on Next in 2006, 2007-ish. Well, that's all I have for you, Stanley. But before we say goodbye, can you remind people where they can find Summerbruise online, especially since new music is coming?
Absolutely. So you'll want to find us at Summerbruise69 anywhere on social media. Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, YouTube, anywhere that you listen to music, Summerbruise is there. And who knows, maybe we'll be in your city soon too.
Well, Stanley, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me about your album Crush today. And everyone, you can find all of Summerbruise's information below. And until next time, as always, keep crushing it. Crushgasm is part of the I Did Not Make These Rankings podcast network, along with some other pretty cool shows, including An Evening at the Movies, Crime Rewind, Literature Reapers, Love is Black, Masturbators, Men are the prize, season to season, the sip list, and Toontastic journeys. You can go to idnmtrpodcastnetwork.blog to find not only Crushgasm, but all of the aforementioned really cool podcasts. Alrighty.